Welcome to the second episode of PortfolioCast. Today we're speaking with Hannah D'Souza. Hannah is an integrative psychotherapist and counsellor whose portfolio career has allowed her to gain varied and international experience counselling, mentoring and caring for children and adults in both private and organisational environments. Hi Hannah, welcome.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. So let's start with a really obvious question. What led you to start a portfolio career?
So for me, I've always been more of a free-spirited person. I like change, I like variety. So I found when I was old enough to work and I did the usual kind of one role, 9 to 5-y kind of thing, it never really fit with who I was as a person. So I always found that I would then try and balance out that kind of monotony in my career with hobbies and social life and things like that. And so then I guess as I then started university, really, it was studying that forced my experience of the multi-role, that portfolio kind of role, because you have to study. And so you can't physically work full-time in one job. You have only got kind of set days and set times that you're free. And so that motivated me to then try different roles, trying to, earn money, make a living. And I guess then getting the experience of that whilst at uni, that I can do multiple things and really getting to experience the freshness of that meant that I then continued doing that after I graduated. And so I made sure in whatever I did, I really cared about that caring remit. And so I did make sure that what I was doing fell under that field, but it was always in a different roles, in a different part-time roles, whether it was teaching or nannying or caring or tutoring. I always made sure that there was that difference there for me because I really enjoyed it whilst I was studying and I wanted to continue that. And so then I guess when I qualified and now I'm in a more specialised field, I'm going to and have been endeavouring to continue that variety in my more specialised field of psychotherapy and counselling.
Yeah, I mean, have you found that by specialising, you've been able to create more portfolio career opportunities?
Absolutely. So, training as a psychotherapist and qualifying as a psychotherapist has meant that along the way, whilst I wasn't able to necessarily be a qualified therapist yet, there were many other roles that were similar to that and attached to that I was able to do because I was in training. So it meant that when I did qualify, I was aware of the kind of other skills that I could utilise. For example, I love administrative and managerial, that side of things, and you can't really execute those skills and just being kind of a counsellor or psychotherapist because it's very independent, kind of doing things very one-to-one or one with your clients. And so I found other roles through my portfolio career journey, like counselling coordinators, counselling administrator, and things like that allowed me to work as a team at another practice or with online group work as a team and really utilize those skills that I love, the kind of organisational, administrative and managerial things. So yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. I know that a kind of intimate role of a therapist is, like you say, it's very one-on-one, and obviously our working environments has completely changed this year, like for everyone. But have you had to rethink your approach, or has it allowed you to kind of explore more of those team-based roles that allows you to kind of have more contact with people potentially, but also kind of develop what you're creating in your psychotherapist?
Therapy relies heavily on the client feeling safe and heard and really, I guess, accepted in the space that they're in. And so usually you would find that is something that you would require in a face-to-face role. But actually with the pandemic and everything that's happened, all my clients had to move online. And for many of my other fellow therapists, we all had to move our clients online. And so actually we had to definitely adapt our approach, and I had to adapt my approach so that I was ensuring that my clients still felt heard, understood, accepted and safe over a screen. That takes changes. So I did have to, for example, accentuate my body language more, on the screen, make sure that I had a wider lens. So Zoom was quite good because it's wider and things like that, so that they could see more of me. And also just, I guess, more verbal cues. They were really, really important. So whereas you can really feel that I'm understanding and hearing and empathizing with what you're saying face to face through my body language and things like that, because there's then that limitation through a screen, I then had to make sure that there were just more verbal cues. I was checking in more, saying I understand how that feels, and saying I've heard what you've said, and just really dialing that up, things like that. But it's been great. I've been able to really create a space that replicates that which I had face to face, so much so that now my clients are really happy to be online, because we've been able to, the new approach I've taken has worked.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
I mean, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
That's such a hard barrier to face. I'd love to know how you've been kind of progressing your career during lockdown and during these changes. Have you been looking for kind of new opportunities, or has there been any kind of like standout challenges other than obviously having to create this new space for your clients?
Well, funnily enough, it's kind of been the other way around for me, in sense of the challenge has come with the influx of clients that I've had, because of coming from a mental health field. The pandemic has been very triggering for a lot of people, and so actually it's meant that a lot more people have tried to seek that mental health support during the difficult time that they've been in, whether it's because of the pandemic itself and lockdown itself, or because of issues that they had prior, that now they either had more free time to explore because they were on furlough, or it was triggered by something at home that made it feel just that bit harder. And so definitely for me, the challenge has actually been to try and manage my kind of new influx of clients that I got over that period, and to be really organised, making sure that I can see my clients whilst doing the other roles that I have, and the training and CPD that I was also doing at the time.
I guess on the reverse, has it been the amount of clients that has been surprising, or is there any other surprising elements to this new way of working, and within exploring those new roles as well? If you've got multiple roles, are there any surprises that come along with that?
The surprising element has actually been how happy my clients are now to stay online. Actually, they've been able to kind of see, is that, I guess, misconception that we had, that in order to really understand a person, you've got to be there in the flesh. And so particularly, as you said, with something as intimate as counselling, I had clients who, when they first contacted me, they would have never wanted to go online. And now, having experienced it, the surprise has been how willing they are to actually continue online. And then actually that's been then great for me, because then I guess moving forward can continue to have a variety of roles, and that's meant that I can continue to have a variety of roles abroad as well, because I now don't need to be in one place all the time. I can work a variety of roles online and in other countries. And so actually that's been a great surprise, actually, about how happy my clients are to be online.
Yeah. Do you think working internationally, I know that you worked internationally previously, but with this kind of openness to work anywhere and to work with anyone, do you think this has helped towards your portfolio career, or that's where you think it's going to keep going, that you're going to have more opportunities to work across the world?
Yeah, 100%. For me, working internationally just gave me an insight into how culture and race and religion can play a massive part in your job role. And so I had to, working abroad, I had to learn to adapt and change my skills and my approach based on the environment I was in. And so I definitely have learnt those skills moving forward. And so I want to kind of continue to exercise those skills as well. And as I said, I like freshness, I like change. And so it means that continuing to do that means I'm able to keep nurturing those skills. I want to now that I can have that online presence with my counselling, it means that, yes, I would love to continue to work internationally, go abroad, do mindfulness courses on a beach and work at retreats. And that means, I can still do a retreat in Bali while still having my online clients. So yes, I will absolutely continue to do that because I love the skills and everything that I got from it previously.
You reflect so beautifully the ability to juggle so many different things. It's quite often we talk about juggling being quite negative. The connotations that come with that are quite negative because it's generally an overload. Whereas from what I'm hearing, you have more of a choice of then select what you want to do and how you want to do it.
Absolutely. I hit it on the nail. It's exactly that. For me, it doesn't feel like this overload of roles. Actually, it feels like new, fresh experiences.
Yeah, fantastic. So how at the moment, within your career right now, how at the moment do you mark your success? And how do you think that's going to change in the future? I mean, that's hard to say, but obviously within traditional 9-to-5 roles, that framework for success, don't you?
Absolutely.
But what does success mean to you now, and how do you mark that as you continue your career?
I think for me at the moment, because I'm quite early in my portfolio career as a therapist, as a psychotherapist anyway, I think at the moment I probably mark my success by the amount of clients I have, because I am in that earlier stage in this field, and also probably my clientele. So obviously amount of clients makes me feel like I'm getting enough in, but also the type of clients I have means that I'd love to have clients that have a range of issues and difficulties and needs, because then for me as a therapist, it means I'm building on various approaches. So if I have clients that come in with a variety of needs, I then need to be able to give them a variety of approaches to work with, because no one person is the same. And so I need to be able to adapt and tailor my approach to suit my clients' needs. And that's why I trained integratively, so that I could do that. I guess moving forward, I may not care or worry so much about the amount of clients I have in the future, because I would have really got myself set in terms of that field. But probably it still will be the quality of therapy that I'm able to provide for my clients, as I said, and that comes with these earlier stages having that variety, so that I can give my clients in the future the quality of counselling that they need.
And at the moment you work within your own practice and within the NHS, and you also work with the Brit School. That kind of being able to pick different elements or different environments to work within, also feeding back that ability to develop and to diversify as you go.
And that's exactly why I've taken on a variety of roles since specialising, because I want to be able to continue to build my skills. Just like with working internationally, there's such a difference between working with young people at the Brit School, for example, and then working with adults in NHS, and then working with adults in private practice, because these are all not only different age groups, but cultural groups as well. People that can afford private practice is different to those that are coming for NHS. And also the same with at a school. The needs that young people have are very different to that of an adult. And so it means that I then have to adapt my way of being. So I'm still being authentic, I'm being myself, but there's the way I speak, certain phrases, my whole approach has to change. And so that's definitely why I've endeavoured to have and work in these different roles, so that I'm building on those skills, and I have transferable skills and adaptable skills.
So have you found a wider positive impact from creating a portfolio career? I know you've had experience of working within this kind of environment that you set up for yourself, but do you think I guess it's a hard question to ask, but would you always want to stay within a portfolio career rather than go back to or go into a full-time 9-to-5 role?
For me, yes, definitely, because everything that I've learned so far from being in a portfolio career, there's so much more to it. You're running your own business as such. And so there's a lot to be taken from that. And as I said previously, because of my nature, I like that variety, I like that change. And so for me, I will always endeavour to have a portfolio career, for as long as I work, because it makes me happy as a person. If I feel happy as a person, then I can do my best work. I can give my clients or my colleagues the best of me if I am happy. And that's where I'm happiest, sitting in an environment where there's change and difference and variety. So yeah, definitely for me.
Brilliant. Have you had to learn, or are you still learning? I know that this part of your portfolio career seems quite new, obviously having recently qualified. Are you still learning new careers to help you work as a portfolio professional, learning the different steps that you need to take?
Absolutely. I would say for me, it's been everything around trying to get myself out there on a platform. So the marketing side of things, like I said before, the business side of things, building a website, all those things that come with a portfolio career, because you are your own selling point, as it were. You are continuously trying to put yourself out there to see what else you can get back, and to see what other roles might be out there, or clients that might need you. And so it's definitely, I think, that side of things in terms of bookkeeping, like I said, how to showcase myself, building a website, administration, all of those things definitely had to learn recently to try and really develop my portfolio career, because they're, I think, really essential parts of a portfolio career. And I am continuing to learn more and more about it. Especially if you're not particularly tech savvy and things like that. It's, definitely a journey, but a good one.
Yeah, I think these are the skills that you often, I guess, take for granted. And often within a traditional 9 to 5, those platforms or those frameworks are there, established as part of the organisation, whereas there's a lot of freedom within portfolio careers, but then that means that you have to create those from scratch almost, don't you?
Absolutely you have to kind of create the opportunity, which is great, but it is a learning experience, and it doesn't happen on its own. You have to be very active in building a portfolio career, as opposed to having that single profession. But I love the flexibility.
Absolutely. Do you have anybody that you turn to, a mentor or resources that you head to for advice or guidance on how to establish yourself or how to create this going forwards? So
actually, luckily enough, when you do, training and becoming a psychotherapist, you have to have a supervisor.
Yeah.
So somebody that supports you along the way with your client work and things like that. So I've been lucky enough to have a great supervisor who I turn to for not only support with my client work, but also general support as a kind of new professional. And so actually just getting advice and hearing about her experiences of having a portfolio career, working in low-cost services, charities, working as a supervisor privately and as a therapist, and also having a whole different career previously. Just being able to talk and share and understand her journey and kind of utilize that to navigate the way that I can take mine in, and also from her mistakes as well, as it were. So what she wished she didn't do, or shouldn't have spent time, kind of wasted time on. That's great for me as well to kind of learn from those as well. So the way she navigated her career acts as an example of how I could possibly navigate mine.
I mean, that's so invaluable, especially having people that you can go to and talk to. That thing about mistakes, we all are going to make mistakes as we learn to do something for the first time. Is there anything that when you first started as a portfolio professional that you would avoid if you were to start over again?
Yes, definitely. Lots of things come to mind, but probably if I were to pick, I would say that I probably wouldn't settle as quickly as I did, because I think as a professional there can be this fear of being without a job.
Yeah.
And particularly, as we said, we're kind of creating our own opportunities and our own roles. And so it can be really easy at the beginning to just kind of take the first one.
Yep.
Or take one that at least means that you've got something.
Yeah.
But actually, I think in hindsight, looking back, I would definitely advise, and I tell my younger self not to settle, to actually not be scared to wait and to really establish that self-patience, because good roles can come and will come. And so, I think that comes with having confidence in yourself, though, to believe that you are capable, to believe your worth, what you do deserve. And so I think with that belief can come the ability to be patient. So yes, I would definitely not settle as quickly for kind of the first thing, and try and conquer that fear, get past that fear, and just keep going and waiting until I found the one that was really right, not just the first one.
Yeah. I mean, I think settling, automatically feel like you have to say yes, right? But is there anything else that makes you think, okay, right, if I was to start again, what would I do differently?
Yeah, I think that I probably would be a little bit more organised with my planning of it all. So actually sitting down and researching, investigating what's out there a little bit more, so that I understood the opportunities that I had. Because I think you can just kind of make assumptions or go based on your past experiences or your friends or family, roles that are out there. But actually, I think I would have done, more exploration, more investigation, more research into the variety of opportunities and roles there were in kind of my field or others, if I felt like it. So that I, again, before I just kind of dove in, and that goes back to the idea of feeling like I had to have something. And actually, if I just kind of took that step back and took time to look into things more, research more in that early period, then I would have, I guess, found roles better suited me faster.
That's really good advice. I think quite often we rush because of the urgency that comes with starting something completely new and not knowing where it's going to head next, and having that faith and that confidence, as you say, those opportunities will come to you, especially if you do take the time to research what could work for you. Really interesting advice. Definitely something that I would have considered more when I started, rather than just running in. You've said that your life ambition is to be a leading psychotherapist with the aim of developing your counselling practice. Do you think your portfolio career will help realise that ambition? Is this the building blocks that helps you towards that goal?
I think having a portfolio career, as I mentioned before, it will afford me with the skills and varied approaches that's much needed for a successful counselling practice. In terms of mental health, it's so varied, and people come in with such a variety of needs and from such a variety of backgrounds. I think definitely having a portfolio career allowed me to experience working with people from a variety of backgrounds with a variety of needs. Like I said, whether it's young people, different races, different religions, and different mental health issues. Having that experience now, working in all those roles, means I can kind of take all that I've learned, and kind of put it together to create a really holistic, successful, integrative practice. Definitely.
And do you think that this change in working practices that we're all facing at the moment, whether you're in a 9-to-5 or whether you're already started your portfolio career, do you think this change in working practices will mean more medical professionals will feel more able to take the chance or explore the possibility of a portfolio career going forwards?
Yeah, I really do, actually, because I think it's particularly for medical professions, there's just been this common belief that in order to be successful, you have to have this one role, a long-houred job where you're building a rapport with people, because rapport is really important, kind of medical professions, and so it's this idea that having this one long-term role gives you that. But actually, I found that because of the pandemic, it's meant that people in the medical professions have been able to see what it's like working in more than just one role and in more than just one way. Yeah. And actually, from experience and from other fellow medical professionals that I've spoken to, they actually feel more invigorated when doing their work because they're not having to go through to feel that kind of monotonous feeling that comes with having one role. And it can be mentally exhausting and kind of mentally draining to have that monotony. And particularly for, medical professionals, just getting that difference, that flexibility can make them feel more invigorated because, each new role that they're doing, it's like having a break from the one that they had before. Yeah. So when they go back to it, it feels fresh. And so personally, I think moving forward in this new way, what the pandemic has I think, definitely motivated is that idea of not just having one role that you are feeling drained by, but rather that variety of roles that you can be your best self in. You can give the best of yourself because you're getting those breaks, you're getting that freshness and that maybe well-needed novelty that I think just all human beings need.
Is there, for anybody who's thinking about starting a portfolio career at this point, do you have any, words of wisdom or any kind of pointers that you would say? Like, what's your advice on that?
I would definitely say just dive in head first, go for it, because there's, like I've kind of brought up a couple of times, there's always this fear that holds you back. And actually I would say if you just get started. It doesn't matter if it's rubbish. It doesn't matter if you're bad at it for a while. It doesn't matter if it all feels a little bit strange, a bit alien, a bit uncomfortable. I think I would definitely advise to sit in that uncomfortability for a while and just dive in, because after a while you will start to find your feet. You will start to feel more relaxed and more comfortable in the varied work that you're doing. But I think I would definitely advise to see what's out there for support. As you're newly beginning building your portfolio career, there are things out there to support you with that, like the Portfolio Collective. It's been so incredible for the time that I've joined to be able to have that support with website building, how to start your own business, and all those really core basic things that you just don't have. And so I definitely say to kind of reach out to places like the Portfolio Collective to try and get that support, because it is out there. Always endeavour to find it if you are struggling, and to help you find your feet and to help you on your way.
Brilliant. Well, This has been so insightful. Thank you so much, Hannah, for joining us today. And I wish you all the best for your portfolio career.
Thank you so much.